It's a time to reflect, really, and it should have been a time simply to celebrate what should have been a jubilant celebration in Liverpool. The open top parade of one of football's greatest teams ended in horror. A car driven by a 53-year-old man ploughed through a tightly packed crowd on Water Street. Nearly 50 were injured, including children. The images are now all too familiar: broken bodies, panicked screams, the unnerving uh, sound of impact. And but in the tragedy lies a story of response and, crucially, of lessons learnt from the Southport stories. So the Southport stabbings of 2024, which I've referenced a few times in the last 24 hours, were not simply the brutality of the act that shocked the public, but the delay, the opacity, the information vacuum that followed. And for nearly 2 days, the police withheld the suspect's identity. And in that vacuum, conspiracy blossomed. Social media spiraled into xenophobic hysteria, and misinformation became a force multiplier, and that force looked flat-footed. And Merseyside police, and indeed the entire apparatus of law enforcement, was criticised for their failure to communicate clearly and rapidly, and the result was riots, discredited officers, widespread mistrust. And that episode exposed not just the flaws in crisis response, but the human cost of institutional silence. In Liverpool this week, a very different approach. Within hours, police released key details: the driver's identity, ethnicity, the location of the arrest. They confirmed it was not terror-related and urged the public not to speculate. This was not an attempt at spin, it was a conscious move to preempt panic. And it was also a political act, a rejection of the Southport model. The public may still be in a position where there's a lack of motive, but there is transparency. The message was clear. We're not hiding from you. That shift alone is significant. And the use of a car as a weapon, tragically, is no longer novel. From Nice to Toronto to Westminster Bridge and now Liverpool, vehicles have become instruments of chaos as well as of transport. And in this case, Water Street, narrow and densely packed, had reportedly been reopened to traffic after the main parade passed. And this raises serious logistical questions. But the emergency services were on site in minutes. 4 people were rescued from beneath the car. Armed officers responded almost immediately. Paramedics treated 47 people, and an entire city infrastructure pivoted into action. Local restaurants transformed into makeshift triage centres. It was rapid, improvised, and in a large part effective. We cannot eliminate the horror, but we can reduce its reach, and that's the core of modern public safety. The city doesn't forget. From the 97 at Hillsborough to the chaos of the 2022 Champions League final in Paris, Liverpool knows what it means to be betrayed by security systems. What the authorities faced this week was not merely a criminal act, it was a threat of history repeating itself. And the swift identification of the suspect, the immediate press conference, the early clarification that this was not terrorism, all of it was designed not just to manage events, but to respect a traumatized city, to say, we've learned and we're listening. So what have the police learned from Southport? To speak early, to clarify facts, to act fast, to think about the crowd not as a logistical challenge, but as a collective trauma waiting to be triggered. And the Liverpool attack reminds us that terror comes in many forms, and not all of them wear the badge of ideology. Sometimes it's confusion, chaos, or incompetence that fans the flames of chaos, of terror. And this time the police didn't pour petrol on the fire. And in that, if nowhere else, there is a shard of hope for now and for the future. There are still many people injured. There is still jubilation turned into terror. And the experience of being on that street, I'm sure, must be terrifying and soul-destroying. But the collective help of the city must be reassuring.